Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Farming Flowers podcast. We've been on a little bit of a break. Maybe a big break. It's been several months since we've done any of our episodes, and so been busy with flower season. And that's part of what I want to talk about today. My guests are actually doing something really cool over in the mid-Willamette Valley here in Oregon. And so I pulled them in today to kick off this podcast season because it's really exciting what they're doing. And so I want to kind of talk to both of them individually, and then at the end, we'll kind of talk about how they came together. So welcome, Lisa and Jason.
Thank you.
Hello.
So let's maybe start, maybe Lisa, tell me a little bit about your business, where you're located, kind of what you do, and then maybe how you came to flowers initially, and then we'll put Jason on the spot and let him do the same thing.
Yep, sure. Hi, I'm Lisa Schuller. My business is called Tranquility Blooms. How did I get started? I really have always been an avid gardener. I lived in New Zealand where I fell in love with cottage gardening styles.
Wow.
When I came back here and restarted my whole corporate career, I was always gardening, I think focusing on vegetables first, as so many of us do. And then something called COVID hit, and I was working from home. And we had just actually moved on a slightly larger property, but at the same time, I am an urban flower farmer. I'm on no more than a third of an acre. And I just fell in love with growing cut flowers and started taking as many courses as I possibly could. And Lisa, actually met you on one of the conferences you held, and really started driving the focus, on for me as far as what can we do as flower farmers together. So that was a big, instigator for me.
Okay. And you're over, what town are you actually in?
Oh, yes, correct. I'm in the Willamette Valley in Lebanon. If you don't know where Lebanon, Oregon is.
Lebanon.
Yeah, a lot of people think Corvallis, which is home of Oregon State University, and we're directly east of that. So, yeah.
Okay.
And I was able to just start a flower stand outside of my property, selling bouquets, and then you soon realize you have more than just more flowers than supporting just a few bouquets. And how can I, maybe move these flowers? Website. Well, I started a website, which, got interest. But I just knew there was always potential to do more.
Okay. Great. All right, Jason. So tell me, where are you? What's your business name? What you do? How'd you get the flowers?
Yeah, so I'm Jason Lee. My business is Adonis Floral Design. It's a newer business for us. We're just celebrating our 1 year actually at the end of the month, which is really
wow.
exciting. It's already been a year, which is crazy. But we're located just off Highway 34, just outside of Corvallis, which is really nice because we're kind of sandwiched in the Willamette Valley right between Salem and Eugene, which is really great because we're quite literally right in the middle of all of the growers and all of the farms. It's like the most ideal place to source flowers from. So, I got started in flowers. Kind of like with Lisa, I was first introduced to gardening by my grandparents actually when I was really little. And I always just loved being out in the garden, picking raspberries off the vine or cherry tomatoes.
Right.
And my grandma would grow flowers. And several years passed where I just didn't really, hone in on that part of my life. So I've done a lot of different other paths for careers. And then I was actually living back in Idaho and was introduced to a flower designer there who has a beautiful aesthetic. It's actually Wildflower Floral. Paige Johnson is the owner of that. And she just had the coolest aesthetic. It was very natural, and all of her arrangements always just felt really alive, which just captured me instantly. So, after years of garden style jobs or working at nurseries and being around plants and flowers, this was my first introduction into designing with flowers. And I just started throwing flowers in a vase, with her oversight, and there was very little oversight. She said that I just kind of took to it naturally, and it felt really natural. And I felt like it easily turned into an expression of all of my creativity. You know, there's creativity that goes into garden design and being in the garden and growing. I consider myself a green thumb, so I you know, have no problem growing anything. If I throw a seed in the ground, it'll grow.
That's great.
But, yeah, the design aspect was really more, just kind of discovered it as it happened, and I love that creative aspect. So that's how I got.
And he's
Okay.
he's being very
wow.
modest. He's being very modest. His design work.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. So I'll put the links for everybody for Instagram and all that. If anybody wants to go check them out, which I highly recommend you do, because it's definitely inspiring for me as a flower farmer and as running our collective, you know, to see the other side of what florists do with, you know, what we grow. So it's really kind of cool to see what Jason comes up with, what he's getting through this new collective in the Mid-Willamette. So, so Lisa, tell me a little bit about when you got the idea to start a collective, because you and I have been sort of chatting about it for a little while, and it's something that you already had in your mind, I think, before we even connected. And so where did that thought come from? What were you doing, and what made you think I need to do a collective?
Yeah, I think I really was gobbling up any conference, you know, around flower farming. And it just became a common theme that you started hearing flower farmers coming together. And the slow flower movement, you know, is what really speaks to me as well. And they really promote, we're not each other's competition. A lot of people get anxious about, oh, I think we're saturated. There's so many flower farmers in my community. But again, I feel very strongly we're not each other's competition. The wholesalers that are importing flowers, you know, are the competition, if you want to see something as a competition. And I don't even like to use that word. Again, speaking with you, I learned that you had a collective. And in fact, even in springtime, I drove over to Central Oregon to buy flowers because it was better for me to buy flowers in Central Oregon than even driving all the way up to Portland as far as what I thought the drive was. It was nicer to drive across the mountains. So it's
much prettier.
It's been noodling. I mean, I'm a small urban flower farmer. Yes, I can grow quite a bit in my space, but I mean, I can't expand beyond what I have. And I started meeting other flower farmers in the area. And again, it's all that noodling of, we should do that. We should do that. But I don't have the bandwidth to do it. So I just kept talking with Lisa and met another flower farmie, Tammy, who I consider another founding member of the Mid-Willamette Flower Collective, Tammy's Farm Stand. And she grows beautiful flowers. And we said, let's just do this. And she actually had more contacts with florists than I did. So I wasn't actively contacting florists. She was, and she did have sort of a regular schedule with some of them. As far as Jason goes, I was actually at a coffee shop in Corvallis and admired a beautiful arrangement and went right up to it. And I said, okay, this isn't them just making flowers. This is a professional florist designer, a designer, I should say. So of course I walked right up to it and I'm like, who does your flowers? But I also saw his cards there. So kudos to that. And I think I immediately called Tammy and I said, I know who we need to go talk to. Yes. Yeah. So, we just did a cold call. I'm like, we just need to walk in. And there was an immediate connection with Jason in regards to, I think I just asked that first appointment, you know, Jason, would you even let us use your space? You know, so I just knew we're more.
Wow.
Yeah. I said, you know, and I said, keep the flowers, have fun with them. And we talked about our dream of the collective, and he definitely, you could tell by his designs, first of all, that he was buying already local flowers. And I think it always also
as much as I could.
It was very off-putting for me to think about contacting multiple florists. And it wasn't that it was an inconvenience for me. I thought, what an inconvenience. I'm going to march in, and this flower farmer, even if he's supporting local, he's being approached by how many of us? Because there are a lot of us small growers. How about make it easy?
Yeah.
And we're just one group. And I think that was, it didn't make sense to me for this poor chap to have to, get, supply or availability lists from multiple people. So that was a big question with Jason. I was like, is this working for you, or how, what would work better? Yeah.
So how did you initially, how were you going to send availability to Florist? Because I think Tammy is a spreadsheet person, right? You're a spreadsheet person too, Lisa, right?
I am. Yeah.
Real spreadsheety.
Yeah. So we were just she was creating a spreadsheet, and I believe just emailing it. Wasn't even being updated where somebody else could come into it, as Google Sheets works.
Yeah.
So I think it was just, hey, this week I have this. And, and that's great. I mean, that's how a lot of the people do it. They just send out an email. But again, my dream was very long-term, and looking forward to, Lisa, your system is amazing. I just have to say that.
Oh.
and your whole website. Your whole system. Yes.
Okay.
Well, even the dream of how big it will go. But again, we're right now using something called Fresh Sheets, and I can just walk out on the farm with my phone and update what I have, the availability. That's what we've come to, and we honestly never dreamed we'd get that far in one season. And then I will hand over to Jason because he can speak to the other end of it. So it's easy from a farmer's perspective. And then it's just standard emails to remind people of a schedule. But Jason can speak to how far we've come from. We did start, I think, the first 2 weeks with a spreadsheet. I don't even know if we did that for very long because Lisa helped us get things
2
moving.
weeks.
Yeah.
I really only think it was like 2 weeks from the time that you and Tammy stopped in with a big bucket of flowers and said, here, play with these. This is what we're thinking of doing. I instantly was hooked because I was, every single week, every Monday, actually, my shop is closed and I would drive all the way to Portland. So, an hour and a half from Corvallis one way. So 3 hours later, I would get home with flowers. But for me, when I design, I need to see something to get the inspiration. So it's really hard for me to just blindly order flowers from the market up in Portland because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know the color you're going to get, and I don't design based on a recipe, which I think is kind of an old school way of designing. I'm much more of an intuitive designer. So the flowers will tell me what needs to go in the arrangement. So I had to actually drive up to Portland every week to get flowers. And then when Tammy and Lisa stopped in, they showed me all of the stuff that they had, this bounty of gorgeous stuff, gorgeous blooms, and said, here, play with this. I made a giant arrangement out of it all. That was really fun just for, that creative explosion. It was great. The product was amazing. The stuff that I can't even tell you how many times I would order flowers from the market and have to rehydrate everything. Everything shows up and it's wilted or it's falling apart or just doesn't look that great. There's flowers that I can get from the collective that are local that have been cut the morning of sometimes. So for things like cosmos, I would never order cosmos from the market because they would never make it here. They'd be tangled, they'd be crushed. So, the ability to get flowers that are locally grown in season is huge for my design work. And it's something that is really important for me when it comes to my work that I do. Lisa was talking about Fresh Sheet and that the ability to pull up a website basically and have it show you colors, type of flower, cost per stem, and you literally just click it and put it in your shopping cart. It's easier than shopping for clothes online. So it really was a game changer to be able to just, pull that up, select what I need, and I'm done shopping in 20 minutes now, and I don't have to go to Portland anymore.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go back a little bit and talk about, were you using local flowers at all before the collective came knocking on the door? Or, I know that Portland has local flowers.
They
For
do.
people that are not familiar with the Portland market, it has, big wholesalers. It's got some local growers and stuff too. So you already had a connection with local and already had been working with them and knew the difference.
Yeah,
and
I have probably a list.
I was just going to say the Oregon market, the Oregon section, that central section, they don't deliver. Is that right, Jason? You would have had to always go in person.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I still had the ability to get my hands on
ship.
local flowers up in the market, in the local growers area, as well as the import markets. But again, it took, I had to go to see the flowers to know what I wanted.
Right.
It was a whole process. And then, I would also source a lot of local flowers from local growers that were down here in the valley. But again, that was a list of probably 6 to 8 different growers that I really liked, had a really good vibe with. And I would, source from them. But the hard thing for me as a designer is, I'm planning for the week ahead, or, sometimes a couple weeks ahead if it's a wedding or an event. And having to remember, did I email so-and-so to see what they have? Did I respond to this text message from this person as to what day of the week they're coming? And it was really hard to try to keep track of, I'm going to have delphinium on Monday, but I won't have, stock until Thursday or whatever it was. So having it all in one spot has been a game changer for me, because it doesn't matter who I'm getting it from. It's all one group of shared like-minded individuals who have the same desire of bringing high quality blooms to designers and to florists. So now I kind of feel bad, because there's a couple growers that I have to actually remember to reach out to see if they have anything extra special that I can get. But a lot of times, I'll get a text message on a Wednesday or a Thursday and say, hey, do you need any flowers? And I say, I'm stocked as of, Tuesday. I got stocked up. So yeah.
So you actually, when you,
I was going to say they're welcome.
Yes.
Because there's no other collective over there, right? There's nothing like in all of the Willamette, right?
No.
There's not really any other aggregation of farmers, and there's so many farmers over there. It's astonishing to me that somebody hasn't formed one in all these years over there. So many farms,
and I know that there are several farms here, in Philomath, just outside of Corvallis, that do take their flowers all the way up to Portland to sell at the Portland market. So there's that, but nothing that brought them all together and put them right in front of me, basically.
Right here. Yeah. And how lucky for you that you actually are the host of where Lisa does the weekly market. So you can do your pre-ordering through Freshsheet, and then you can also kind of get first dibs on the other extras that come in. So kudos to you. Very clever.
I'm super spoiled in that, because I get to help unload the trucks in the morning.
Oh, nice.
So let's just say a lot of times I'm buying more than I ordered, because I see stuff that comes in that maybe wasn't on the list, or, was really gorgeous in the morning. So they brought it, to the collective meetup, and I need it. So,
So Lisa, when you were thinking about doing the collective, what was your thought on, did you have it in your mind initially that you wanted to do like this pickup market at Jason's, or were you going to try to just have a central location? Maybe florists could let you know ahead of time what they wanted and you just show up somewhere. I think some people even do it like in parking lots or whatever. Did you, I know you got really lucky with Jason being able to have that space, but did you have that in mind to add a little bit of a market component?
Yeah, as soon as we sort of got a collection of the farmers together, we really did think, well, who's got the good fridge space and the best location? But we didn't have to think about it for very long, because Jason, was and he is a great location. So that was key, actually.
Okay.
The florists that come and shop, that is the best location, quite honestly. That has just worked out convenient for all of us. But that was something we were absolutely pondering. And I think, Jason, we even started, hey, could we just put a pop-up in your parking lot, we'll be gone before whatever time.
You had originally thought put it right in the front hallway. And I was like, well, we got the the inside space. Let's do it inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Just hesitant to, how much can we ask of him? But he was so gracious, to go, jump
Like I said,
completely
the vibes
in.
were right. So
Yeah.
That makes a difference when you connect with someone, and then you know that you're on the same team. I think a lot of over the years that I've known flower farmers, especially, there's this whole fear of approaching florists, and there's like this, I don't know, I'm fear of rejection or whatever it is, but I think a lot of them have a little bit of a mindset that, you're on the opposite team and they're afraid to approach florists. And what I always want to say to them is, they're completely on your team. I mean, yes, you will probably encounter a florist that's, by the book, and it's the 1-800's flowers, and it's, like you said, the recipes, and it's, the 2 Gerbers and the 1 rose and whatever. And they probably don't have a connection with local, and those are not your people. Don't take that as a rejection. That's just not your tribe. Just keep moving on, and you will find the people that genuinely do love local. And that's where you flourish. That's who you connect with. Jason, do your customers, have you built local as part of your kind of ethos, and do your customers know that already and expect that, or do you have them that come in and want to know if you're using local, or what's your connection with your local customers?
Yeah. Great question. 100%. I have worked both in the flower shops that do, kind of the 1-800 flower recipe arrangements. And I've always been the one to gravitate towards, if you got an order in that was designer's choice, I'm like, I'll take that one. So for me, it was pretty easy when I started my business, because I started my business with that mindset of, I'm the designer providing the floral arrangement. So trust my artistic ability and trust what I do. And I can tell you, I've not had one single person call me and say, meh, it's not really what I wanted, or it's not really what I saw. Every single person who responds is blown away at the style of arranging that I do, because of the fact that I use so many different types of local flowers, dried things, textures, foliage. That's huge for me. So, I mean, my customer base, I got really lucky, and I trained them from the beginning that I do something different. And the ones that I have now that are on subscriptions or that are repeat customers of mine, they're fantastic, because they're like, I trust you. You just make it. Here's my budget. Go for it. Which is great, and that's kind of what I'm trying to inspire with other florists and other designers that I meet. I'm really trying to inspire in them to do the same thing. Even if you can't get away from the recipe arrangements, have the option of a local designer's choice arrangement, and you'll sell it every single time, because that's what there are people who really value that and value arrangements that are something that they would see outgrowing in the landscape versus, this kind of Pinterest perfect version of something. So, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Something that I'm seeing, we also do DIY buckets through our collective. And so I get to have interaction with a lot of brides and just people doing events. And something I definitely have noticed, more so in the last year, I'd say, are the brides are not really all that keen on having a huge budget for, the fancy florist kind of experience. A lot of them really do want to have the DIY buckets, but more so their question is this all grown here? Is this all local? I really want this to be 100% local wedding. So it's really interesting to see this younger generation, these, I call them kids. I mean, I'm an old lady now. So these kids that are getting married, that's something that they think about. They're not just, blindly going with the way it's always been with a lot of weddings, is just, here's the budget. You get your florist, and you get the flowers that, are out of season, and the things that are shipped from all over the place. And they really are conscious of wanting things to be local and in season. So I think maybe we're seeing a little bit of a shift, hopefully, in that industry.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I was going to say, and another florist that shops, and she's right there on Oregon State University campus. And she was very excited to say, well, it was amazing, because now I'm just, as people walk in, I'm able to say, this is a local flowers arrangement. And I would say on the campus
Yeah.
with a younger, population, that's going to be a good selling point to her. And then as Jason said, he, another florist, he is such a great spokesperson for us. I know he wants us to succeed, so he keeps having
because
access to
me.
Yes, yeah. So he's so great. He's gone out to, there are people on our list that maybe haven't turned up, and we're trying to reach out. But coming from a florist, it's such a nice approach, because he's not trying to sell anything. He's just sharing truly, genuinely the benefit. And I think I was, again, back to that hesitancy of florists to approach occasionally. It can be about, because you're afraid you're being a pest, but if it's coming from a collective perspective, I feel like we're confident in saying, I think we've got something that's easier to work with,
Yeah. Well, Jason, what would you say to florists that that have been hesitant to try local flowers? I know maybe some of them, they got burned and somebody brought just stuff from their backyard that wasn't conditioned properly or whatever, and they crashed or whatever, and they maybe had a bad experience. What would you say to florists who are just local flower curious? What would you encourage them to do?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I've tried to explain is that option of a designer's choice local only arrangement, to really try to encourage that sense of, you're a florist for a reason, because you're creative. So get those juices flowing, work with some local stuff, and see what happens, see what the turnout is. You don't really, there's nothing to lose by ordering local flowers. Even if you still get 90% of your stuff from import for your bread and butter arrangements, there's no reason why you shouldn't incorporate local flowers into your designs. And then, as far as, being burned in the past or things like that, it does take a little bit of adjusting, knowing like, okay, the stems are going to be, similar, but maybe a little bit different, or maybe because they're conditioned differently, they need a little bit extra care. But the learning curve is almost instant, if you know what you're doing. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I think maybe with the growth of more collectives popping up too, people can just have access to flowers that they maybe wouldn't have had access before. That might help. Too.
Exactly.
I think,
because I know florists don't really have time to just go searching out people. So,
and I'm hoping.
Sorry, go ahead, Lisa. You were cutting out.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm hoping it's a nice, intimate relationship that we're always asking Jason for feedback, and in fact, it's really fun because we can bring in something that wasn't on the sheet, but hey, please try this for us and give us some feedback. Maybe we can add this. Honestly, something really new. Brenda was reaching out and saying, what do you think about this? So I'm like, bring it in, let Jason play with it. So it's that feedback where absolutely, if something didn't hold, let us know, which I don't think you're going to get at the big markets. It's truly, let us know.
When it comes to the big markets, by the time I get the flowers and get them rehydrated in the cooler, I only have so long before I have to take photos, send it to my rep, say I need a refund, but then there's no flowers. It's like they crashed and I don't have them. So at least with the market or the collective, I can easily pick up my phone, or I can hop on an email and I can say, hey, does anyone have this? Or, and because it's a group, everyone can reach out to each other. So you have multiple people trying to get eyes on things for you, which is huge. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I think that's just really, it's got to be the future of local flowers. There's just so many independent farms out there, and it's not that they're competition, but they're working against each other in some ways, because they're all fighting to try to, get a florist on board. But if we could make it simple and multiple farms could come together, like Lisa's putting together, do you have 6 farms so far in your collective? Is that right?
We have Yeah, at the
before
moment,
four active ones.
correct. There's 6 that are reaching out, and we're always looking at maybe a unique element, like even another dahlia grower right now, just
Yeah.
to just get that consistency.
Oh,
So
yeah.
always open, and we're at the point where people are reaching out, even from a designer perspective. Somebody from out of town, another state is coming in and said, "Hey, I see you've got a collective in the neighborhood that I'm needing flowers." So that's great. I mean, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's what we would hope would happen.
Yeah. So
there's also one aspect too that I just wanted to touch on too that I think is really huge as a designer standpoint and being part of the collective, because I feel like I have this little bit of an intimate relationship now with these different growers. I get privy to information like, they're having a meeting talking about, who's going to grow what because they've got the space, they've got the right lighting, they like growing it, whatever it is, which is great for me as a designer because then I know that my growers are collectively growing different things so that there isn't that sense of competition, because I don't like to operate from a place of competition personally in my own life. So to have that integrated into this is huge, because then I know, someone's really good at dahlias are covered. Now next year it's going to be, everyone's going to have their little niche, but it's all going to be for us. So it's cool. Yeah. You get exposed to things that you normally wouldn't necessarily get exposed to just using the import markets. So, yeah,
that's true. It's really more, the whole thing is really more about a relationship. I mean, always the relationship between support between the farmers that are in the collective and everything that they're putting out there, and plus having florists every week who really understand and grasp, the importance of what these collectives are doing, and being right there every step of the way. Because like you said, Jason, I mean, you benefit from it. You get amazing fresh flowers. You get unusual things that you're never going to get shipped in.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just, yeah. Yeah. So
my favorite Lisa's this season.
yeah. So let's talk about some of those things then. So because I'm sure you have gotten import things in the past, and you probably still have to get some import stuff now. So what's the one flower? I know you mentioned Cosmos, but what's the one flower that you have been able to get through this collective locally that you would just never in a million years think about getting from wholesale?
Yeah. Honestly, that was the first one that went off in my head was the Cosmos, because I love them. And I love them in designs. But I've never bought them at the market because, again, they're so fragile that I just, it's not worth it. I can't buy 10 stems and use 3 because the rest are ruined. So that was the one that really went off like a bell in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to use these because, they're not crushed. But I mean, also just, a lot of, it doesn't even have to be one flower specifically, but most of the time when I get stuff from the market, it's been sitting in the back of a truck in a cardboard box for who knows how many hours. So by the time I get it, everything has to be rehydrated. And that's such a scary moment for a designer, because you've ordered $300, $400, $500 worth of flowers, and you don't know if you're going to be able to use them. And you might have designs that you want to use them in, and if they're going to come back, you never know. So it definitely, the anxiety of that has been completely lifted being part of the collective, because now I don't get anything that I can't use. And if something crashed after a day or so, I have a real close connection to get help with it versus having to emergency get a delivery 2 days later from the market or drive to Portland. So
okay, so Lisa, let's just talk real briefly. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know we always talk about flowers as well, but Jason is an amazing designer that, he thinks about texture, and it can be about the seed pod. It can be about the foliage, the grasses. And, so our variety is huge, about with the foliage and seed pods and things like that. And even going into, with the fresh sheets, we've been able to separate even dried flowers from fresh flowers. And that's been good. And I think that'll keep growing as well. I mean, you can even see behind Jason, he does amazing work with fun elements. We have right behind you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Amazing stuff. Well, let's talk just real briefly, Lisa, about your scheduling, like how you set up your collective and how that works for you, Jason, time-wise, when you do your ordering and stuff. Tell me, like, what does your typical week look like?
Yep. So today is Thursday. So in about 45 minutes, Jason will get an email that says pre-order window open. So that means the farmers have to, by noon today, upload their availability to the best of their knowledge. We are planning ahead, which, for some of us newer growers, or, all of a sudden we're having to make sure we can predict.
It's tough.
So
Right.
we load that right up to noon today, and then the email lets Jason know you can start ordering. His order window stays open till noon on Sunday. And then Sunday, we will also confirm his order and let him know that, because his order comes in the form of a want list, it still requires us to go in and confirm it. In case there's something that's gone a little, not quite as predicted, we'll be honest and let them know, hey, maybe I'll have 2 out of the 3 of those. And we take a little time in communicating with each other as farmers. Like last week, I didn't quite have the exact number of Ivanetti dahlias, and another farmer had similar purples. So that was resolved that way. So we let him know on Sunday, and then the pickup is on Tuesday mornings. And Jason can speak to, because we really worked with Jason as to what is your ordering schedule and what works. So he definitely wanted to know on Sundays, so that if something critical was missing, he can take action. Is that correct?
Yeah. So for me, anytime I have to order something from the Portland market, they only have certain days that they deliver, Monday delivery, Wednesday delivery. Otherwise you're kind of SOL. So for me, I needed to know, I don't like to keep stuff in the cooler over the weekend unless I have to. So I kind of operate on a weekly basis with all of my work that I do. So having, the email come out on Thursday, I basically order within that first hour, just because then it's done and it's off my list and I can enjoy my Friday without even having to worry about flowers for the next week. But the nice thing is then I can get that confirmation Sunday, and if for some reason something's not available, or if I need to supplement with something, or say I want to put orchids in the arrangement as well, and I need to get some imported flowers, that gives me enough time to compose that email and get it out to my rep in Portland so that I can get a delivery on Monday, before the collective even meets, so that then Tuesday morning when that comes around, I get all of my fresh local stuff. And if for some reason there's more or something extra that I want, I can always get it then. And then some days some weeks I'll even, have a delivery set up for like a Wednesday. So then that way I know what I've got Tuesday. And then if I need a little extra, if I want to supplement a little bit, I can get an order delivered by Wednesday. It makes the ordering and getting flowers to me so much easier, having the ability to kind of already know what I'm getting without it being the same stuff all the time. So
well, since we just kind of briefly touched on fresh sheet a little bit, and that's something I've been working on, sort of on the maybe a few spare moments I've had this summer, and I know the pain of, because this is the 5th year for our collective, and I know we chose to use Square, which I don't know that I would recommend for anyone. We've had nothing but issues, but we're so locked into it right now. And this year I decided, okay, I've had enough. I'm building something different. So, and I had talked to Lisa a couple of times back must have been the spring, maybe, I think, when I had sort of just the beginnings of this idea of, okay, if you get your collective going, how are you going to get your availability out? And all of the years back in the early 90s, when I had my first flower farm in Texas, I mean, my fresh sheet truly was just a piece of paper that I hand wrote with what I had that week, my availability. And then it went through my old, well, it was a new fax back then, but it was like the size of my first car. It was this massive fax machine and, that thermal paper. And so I would just sit there, and because I didn't even have like where you could broadcast fax, it was like one at a time. I'd have to type in everybody's number, and it would, that was what Fresh Sheet was, for many, many years. Or it's like, a little stick-em note, or it's like you said, spreadsheets. It's stuff that is so hard to keep track of, and texting different people. And so I had this idea, let's just put it all together on one page. So I'm really kind of curious. I haven't talked to you guys in a little bit about this. So they actually have been my guinea pigs this season to really get this off the ground. And so let's just real briefly, we don't have to go into this very deeply, but maybe from the farmer's side, Lisa, maybe tell me how it's working for you, and then Jason on the florist side, because it's two very different views that you see how it's working for you. So Lisa, how did you get everybody on board, and farmers are able to use it okay?
Well, as I said, again, starting with a Google Sheet, and then you so quickly had this available for us. Yeah. It's very easy. So when a new farmer comes on board, we can send them their, they get an email with their password, and then they log in, and their view is such that they can upload. And if you're starting all fresh, all of us have uploaded so many items, they can type Zinnia, and then it would easily come up with options for them. We encourage everybody to upload their own photos, which is fantastic. At the moment, each farm loads their own, and it's represented that Jason can actually see the farmer's name. He could make a selection, because he can choose from one farm. That's fine. We do have a uniform price list because we don't want that to be complicated for the buyers. That just wouldn't make sense to us. So they will be a uniform price. And that all goes in. What was I going to say? And it's super easy. As I said, I can, now that I know what my standard items are, I can be out in the field with my phone and upload them as I go, or I can be specific and say I have 3 bunches, or I can leave it wide open and say available. Very, very simple. And we're finding all the farmers finding it very, very convenient.
Good. Okay, good. And then Jason, on your side, so you get a notification when their order window opens, and then what happens on your end?
Yeah, it's great. I get an email. It has the link in the email. I literally click on it, and it pulls up the fresh sheet, which again, it's color coded, dried, fresh, alphabetical, and I can literally just scroll the same way that you would on one of those big import market websites like Mayish. It's exactly the same way. It has the little button that says add to cart. And it's such a breeze. I mean, it's funny, Lisa, because when we started this, I think maybe the 3rd week we had fresh sheet. Like for the first 2 weeks, it was a little bit of the an email with like a list of what's available, and it was great, and then instantly it was like, now we have this app that you can order from, and it was the speed at which it changed and made it so much easier was incredible for me.
Good.
And now I'm just excited on Thursdays to get that. Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's what I want to hear. I wanted to take all those pain points out of just, trying to keep track of so many different things and trying to order from a collective. Now you can see it by farm, and you can select for color, and
and I get, and the nice thing too is I get a confirmation email of my wish list that breaks down everything that I've asked for with a total, or an approximate total of what it will be. So then I have my budget in mind, and I can literally just look off that sheet and decide, what do I want to add to that? Do I need to add to it? How much left do I have in my budget? It just makes the whole process of ordering flowers so much easier. So much easier. Yeah,
love to hear that. Okay. That was my ultimate goal. And I think probably having the 5 years of pain of me trying to deal with it from our collective, I think I intimately knew some of the pain points, but it's always good to just, confirm that with everybody. Yeah. So, okay. Lisa, well, I think,
I'll just add here. I mean, I am so thankful, but I truly am a person that if I don't have to reinvent the wheel, if somebody's done some hard work and they have felt those pain points, I am so happy to jump on board with a system that has been, working for somebody else. It's just amazing.
Good.
And again, it has been a communication whenever we saw, I think even Jason had a request. I mean, we've had meetings where we're, well, what would you like to see differently? Oh, can you move that column? Oh, that's right. Because even could you move a column over here so that when I'm in the field, I can read something better, for my upload, or the pick list. We almost create a pick list basically from the want list once we've confirmed it, and we walk out in the field. Right. So I get it, harvested. And because there's so many farms on it, we do want to be able to filter for our own. But something was a little bit further away from the number of stems. So we move things, so it's just been incredible.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, it's been so exciting to be a part of you guys building this over there. And I consider them sort of our sister collective. So, and I hope we can, somehow continue to be connected and, maybe share flowers in the future. I mean, we have a mountain range between us, if you're not familiar with Oregon. So,
but I tell you what,
it's not quick,
but it's a benefit. It's just as quick for me to come to you being in Lebanon than it is for me to deal with traffic in Portland.
Yeah.
And
that's
what
true.
What I'm really recognizing is, Jason, this, I think, our seasons are different, Lisa. So Lisa and Lisa, but when we're finishing tulips, you're starting tulips. So think about how we could extend this. I'm already thinking, or this big order where you've got potentially happening. I know we can reach out and say, did you start your Lysianthus later, and when are they going to be done? So I think there's a lot of potential. So exciting.
And, and from a designer standpoint as well, the fact that, I often will have brides who are getting married in Bend. I will travel to Bend to do the wedding. So having that connection to you guys up there and knowing that it's the same as down here, it takes all that anxiety away of doing a destination wedding for me where I have to travel somewhere. I know that I can still get the same communication.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's a big thing of people that aren't familiar with Central Oregon. It really is a destination wedding place. We have some really amazing places. Well, you guys do too over there, but I mean, we don't have a whole lot over here that, we can kind of brag about, but, destination weddings, we got those out the wazoo. So I think that's also because I do have some people that reach out from out of state that are going to be doing weddings here. And I've already got a big list for one gal for next week she's picking up, and I mean, she's blown away that she just sent me her list of what she needed. And on my end of my portal, my farmers just confirm what they can supply. And I sent her a note back in like 6 minutes, and I was like, okay, it's confirmed. And she was like, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
So it's the beauty of working together. So
yes.
No more competition.
No more competition. No, we're all in this together.
When we all come together, again, the farmers just start chatting about, what's going on. So we've all learned so much from each other, and we have calls. And as Jason said, planning ahead for next year, because we need to start seed starting for fall planting. So we, strategize. But then I love seeing Jason's relationship with the florists that are walking in. That's not a competition. It's, hey, start doing the florist choice, and that's where you can get your get yourself comfortable with local flowers. It becomes a real commodity. What is the word?
Camaraderie.
There you go. Good. Couldn't spit it out.
That one.
That one. Jason and I say, I look forward to Tuesday mornings. It's early, but it's fun. We see each other.
Yeah. I love that so much. I love what you guys are building over there, and I'm so excited to be a little tiny part of it. So,
huge part of it.
Well, it feels small just seeing what all you're doing. So, well, I appreciate both of you so much taking time to kick off this next season of the Farming Flowers podcast. And I know everybody's busy right now, and I know, Lisa, your order window is getting ready to open, and Jason's got to get on there and do his shopping. So thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today. It was just such a joy to talk to you both. So
thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, and happy rest of your season.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.